Predator is such a unique series, and it's so strange to talk about because I made a video on the Alien movies, and Predator is definitely hand in hand with Alien. I mean, especially in regards to the crossovers. But I feel like the movies don't get talked about as often. It's had some very high highs and some very low lows, and I felt like doing my regular ranking video, but this time on the Predator movies. And we have Predator Badlands releasing later this year, and we actually just had Predator Killer of Killers release, which is also going to be ranked on this list. So let's start off with the worst Predator movie.
Good Lord, what is happening in there?
Come on, you know I had to put it on here. The Alien vs Predator movies they're very campy, and they're not very well made, in my opinion. They're both quite bad, but out of the two, the sequel, Alien vs Predator Requiem, is definitely the worst. So this picks up where the first film left off. Just to get into spoilers, a predator ship has left Earth after carrying a captured facehugger and a body of a predator that was killed by one on Earth. Chestburster comes out of it, so it's like a mix between predator and alien, since the aliens take on characteristics of whichever species they like inseminate in a way. And the ship ends up crashing in a forest outside of this town. This new creature, which is called the Predalien, it's a terrible fucking name, but it escapes and it starts implanting humans with the alien embryos. We eventually see the home world of the predators, and a predator is actually sent to a distress signal from one of the ones that survived the crash but was killed by the Predalien, and he heads to Earth because he has to wipe out the Predalien. And it's not bad, it's a very different perspective on Predator, because I think AVP1 made it clear that they're actually enemies, predators and aliens, even if the lore of Alien doesn't quite match with that, but still, it's not too bad. He basically starts hunting the Predalien and he starts killing other xenomorphs. But while this is all happening, we cut to our human storyline, which, I'll be honest, isn't exactly that interesting. I'm gonna quickly sum this up, but we come down to one final duel between this predator and the Predalien. They're fighting each other, and the predators and the Predalien practically kill each other. And since the government has caught wind of this, they drop a nuke on the town. Kills almost all of the town people, all the xenomorphs, the Predalien, and that predator. The only survivors is a group of people that were on a helicopter flying away, which is a couple of the main characters. And the plasma pistol of the predator, which was given to one of the humans, is confiscated. And that's basically it. Right at the end, we have a moment where the predator's pistol is given to someone called Mrs. Yutani. And there is a link to Alien with the Weyland-Yutani Corporation. It is not terrible. I mean, it's a very fun, goofy movie. It came out in 2007, so don't expect the best. The lighting in this is atrocious. So don't get your hopes up. But otherwise, it's not the worst thing to watch.
I'm stronger. I'm smarter. I'm better. I am better.
Okay, now we get into the next one on our list. At number 7, we have Alien vs. Predator. This came out in 2004, and I'm actually not sure if there was any big hype around it. I think there was a comic book which was playing around with this concept, but this is the first time they've actually decided to fully cross them over. So we see a Predator ship arrive on Earth and melt a hole in the Antarctic. Satellite detects this, and an industrialist who goes by the name Charles Weyland, again from Weyland-Yutani, decides to send a team to investigate it. And he wants to claim the discovery, So they find this team finds the tunnel, and they find this mysterious pyramid underneath the ice. They go in, and there's evidence of like this old civilization, and it's hints towards the alien. There's depictions of humans with their chests burst open. So obviously chest bursters. And while this is happening, 3 predators arrive. They kill the team members that are on the surface and go down into the pyramid. While the team's down in the pyramid, they activate the structure, and a xenomorph queen is awakened. So basically, havoc reigns. The facehuggers attach themselves to people, and we start getting very quickly grown adult xenomorphs. And there's a fight between the predators, the xenomorphs, and the humans. So the humans get some of the predators' weapons. Two of the predators are killed by xenomorphs, so we only have our last one, which is Scar, and he's eventually attacked by a facehugger, but he does fight as they go. We find out that the predators use this as some sort of rite of passage. Humans would sacrifice themselves to be hosts for the xenomorphs and create prey for the predators to hunt. And they actually had a failsafe that would activate a self-destruct in the pyramid to eliminate the xenomorphs. That's why these predators came. They're doing their proving grounds. One of the humans actually manages to survive and help Scar, which is the final predator, defeat the xenomorph. And Scar respects this human and gives her like the hunter symbol. Right at the end, the xenomorph queen comes and fights Scar, but Scar's fatally wounded. They're able to kill the queen as she sinks to the ocean floor, but obviously Scar dies, and this will lead into the sequel of it. Right at the end of it, on the Predator spaceship, we see Scar's body, his chest just bursts open with this new Predalien. And it's a kind of cool ending. It's definitely better than Requiem. It's still not the greatest, and it leans more into the action, and it's better lit. But other than that, it's not a bad movie.
Oh. Well, that's disappointing.
Hey, next at number 6 on our list, we have The Predator from 2018. Now, I was actually excited when this movie came out. You know, I like the series and I want to see what they did with it. And this was a disappointment. There's too many moments in it where they try to make it comedic. There's stupid segments. And I'm not a fan of it, but to basically sum it up, this Predator ship crash lands on Earth. A US Army Ranger finds the ship and they're attacked by the Predator. But this main human, Quinn, is actually able to incapacitate the Predator, and its armor is sent off to prove that aliens exist. And the human gets captured. The Predator, on the other hand, gets taken to a lab to be experimented on. And they find out that it contains human DNA. So the Predator wakes up, kills a whole bunch of lab workers, and escapes. The only thing it doesn't do is kill an unarmed person, which is something predators generally don't do, because they're all about the hunt, you know? And then we see that the army officer that first found the Predator, he's being sent with a group of inmates off to wherever they're going to send them to. And eventually they hijack the bus after seeing the Predator escape. So it's basically about these lucky inmates trying to hunt this Predator. It comes across a bit disjointed, you know, but it's not too bad. They are eventually able to find this Predator and they want to give him his armor back, but a bigger Predator arrives and kills this Predator, so as if it was hunting its own people. They find out that the Predators are trying to improve themselves with the DNA of other humans and other plants inhabitants and that sort of thing, and they eventually have to now try and kill the second Predator, the big one. They eventually are able to kill it, but it's quite difficult. End up using the Predator's own weapons against it. Right at the end, we are seeing what was on the first Predator ship when he arrived, and they find this suit of armor that fits on a human that's meant to be used to kill predators, like an Iron Man suit. Yeah, it's not great. And then this Army Ranger guy says he's going to be the one to pilot it. I still don't think it's as bad as the Alien vs. Predator movies, but it's still nowhere near as good as what's higher up on my list. Definitely a disappointment, and I was so sad that I waited so long and then watched this goofy crap.
Nice.
Next on our list, we have Predators, or Predator 3. This one is, okay, there's quite a bit of a gap between the quality of the Predator and Predators. And you could tell this one wanted to embody the spirit of the very first Predator movie. So we have a military man who's dropped into a jungle that he can't recognize with a whole bunch of other people who are sent in the same way. And they're all warriors in a way. One's a cartel enforcer, the other's a sniper, one's a Yakuza member, And they're basically being dropped into this jungle to be hunted by predators. Predators come here to hunt humans and other dangerous species. And this makes a lot more sense than like what AVP did. This is them taking, and it's not just humans they take, there's other monsters on this planet or moon or whatever that the predators hunt. And they're tracked by these 3 large predators, and they actually do have a reference back to the first movie, because one of the women mentions that Predator matched the description of a creature killed in 1987, which was Predator 1. And they basically have to try and kill these predators. And they also found out that the predators are fighting within their own. They have predators and super predators. It's a bit complicated, but it does work. They eventually are able to kill these 3 main predators. I think only 2 of the main people survive. And right at the end, they see more parachutes being dropped down. So they think, okay, well, obviously the hunt's just going to keep going. And that's how it ends. It doesn't try to overcomplicate itself like the Predator did. And it works. It's a very concise story. And you could imagine plenty more stories within this vein, which we actually will see one much higher up on this list.
Much better.
Next up, we have Predator 2. Now, Predator 2 came out 3 years after the first Predator and had a very different feel to it. From what I could find online, at first, this movie was not seen positively. People did not like it. And I can understand why. You're going from this gritty military fighting in a jungle, like man vs. Predator, to this now urban setting. But looking back on it, it actually works very well. So this is set in 1997, and there's basically a drug war going on between the police, the Jamaicans, and the Colombians. And in the center of this, we have a lieutenant that ends up charging in, showing bravery during this shootout. The Predator arrives during this and fights the Colombians, because now this is, in their eyes, a collection of a lot of warriors together. Now, the main lieutenant's actually able to see the Predator, but he doesn't believe that it's real. And through the course of the movie, the Jamaicans and the Colombians are now slowly being killed off by the Predator, and the lieutenant's starting to notice it. He's finding flayed corpses and that sort of thing. One of the detectives comes alone to one of these crime scenes, and the Predator kills him. So now the lieutenant vows to stop the killer, tries to find out what happened, finds out that the spear tip left behind by the Predator doesn't match any element that we know of. So he starts to think something's wrong. Meets with a voodoo doctor, finds out that who believes the killer's supernatural. And he realizes, well, there is definitely something wrong. Eventually they're able to, the detectives finding more and more clues following where this Predator's going. He doesn't know it's an alien yet, but we eventually come to a point where he finds out that it's an extraterrestrial creature, it has infrared vision, camouflage, yada yada. And there again is a hint to the first movie that it hunts humans for sport, and one happened a decade ago in Central America, which again was the first movie. And they start to try and set up ways to kill the Predator. The Predator's able to fight back, but the lieutenant's able to wound it. It destroys his gun and almost kills him, but he manages to survive through a whole bunch of contrivances, but it, like I said, it does work. He's able to follow it to its spaceship underground and fight it in combat, and he eventually kills the Predator. After this happens, a group of predators now shows themselves, as if they were observing this whole thing, and they give him an old flintlock pistol as a trophy. And we actually will see the source of this pistol in one of the later movies, which I do like, but that's about it. The ship takes off, and now the lieutenant knows about the predators, and he says, they will return one day. And they do, just not in the greatest of circumstances of quality. But yeah, like I said, I can understand why people didn't like it at first, but it's definitely grown on me rewatching it. It's a good movie.
Play prey, you massive weebo.
Now we have a movie that was an utter surprise. Nobody expected this to be good, and it was. This is Prey. And this came out in 2022. It's the second most recent release. And it's not set in the modern era like the other movies. This is set in 1719 and has to deal with the Comanches, Native Americans who end up fighting the Predator. Our main character is a woman who was trained as a healer, but she wants to be a hunter like her brother. The Predator eventually arrives and starts hunting on its own. I like the way they adapted this because the hunter, he gets like more brutal, more tribal. He doesn't use the modern tech as much, but he will eventually use it later. During all of this, we have the French, who are also in conflict with the natives, and now they're trying to hunt the Predator as well, because they've encountered him before. Naru's eventually able to escape from the French after being captured, and she saves her brother and gets a flintlock pistol from one of the dying translators. It's also kind of interesting. This flintlock pistol is the flintlock pistol gifted to the main guy in Predator 2, and I do believe it shows up in another movie as well, but I could be wrong. Eventually she figures out that it comes down to body heat, that the Predator can only hunt via infrared. Even though they don't know what infrared is, she can tell, it can't see people if their heat's reduced. So her and her brother eventually work together to try and kill this thing, They're able to fight the Predator, but he does kill the brother. No leaves and uses one of the Frenchmen as bait and conceals her body heat with like a herb they mentioned earlier in the movie, which does that. She's able to ambush the Predator and learns how to direct its spear gun because it uses its mask. And she's able to lure it in and basically shoot itself and kill it. She cuts off the Predator's head, paints her face, all tribal. It's kind of cool. And she's declared as the war chief. And she tells the tribe, it's time to move, because obviously there's going to be more Predators. One thing that's hinted, though, is that as we go to the credits, we find a depiction of 3 of the Predators' ships descending towards the tribe. Now, this meant nothing when we watched Prey 2022, but it does mean something now, which I'll get into when I talk about the next movie.
Oh, good. Why, that's very good. Yes, I like that.
Which we are jumping right into. Number 2 on our list. Now, this came out actually not too long ago. This is Predator Killer of Killers. Now, this is the first animated movie in the series. And I didn't see any advertising for this anywhere. I saw it online and I was like, oh, there's another Predator movie. And I watched it. And it was really fucking good. This is directed by the same guy who made Prey. And it's at first an anthology series of 3 different stories of people encountering predators in 3 different eras. So our first era is the Shield. Now this takes place in Scandinavia in the year 841, about a Viking warrior who leads her clan on an expedition to destroy their enemies. The minor plot is that the enemies are led by a man who killed her father, or made her kill her father. Regardless, after they're able to kill this guy, Predator ambushes them and kills her clan one by one. Also seriously injures her son, but she's able to kill the Predator underwater after like a heavy duel. The son eventually succumbs to his wounds though. Then we cut to, while she's grieving her son, we cut to her having this bracelet around her neck, and we jump into the next story, which is the Sword. Now, the Sword is 1609. It's these 2 Japanese brothers who are the sons of a warlord. He tells them to duel to determine the successor. One thing I do have to note about this story is that there's very little dialogue at first. Works very well. The one brother refuses to fight, so the other brother attacks him and defeats him, while the brother who refused to fight has left. We jump ahead 20 years, and the fighting brother has become the new warlord, and the younger one's a shinobi. He eventually decides to return to confront the warlord brother, but doesn't realize the Predator's hunting them. He gets into the castle, beats his brother in a sword fight, and knocks him into the castle's moat by mistake. At first he thinks he killed him, which I also thought he killed him by accident, but then he's attacked by the Predator, and he's able to escape and meets his brother on the riverbank. They eventually have to work together and they're able to kill their predator, although the warlord brother dies. Again, we cut to him having this collar around his neck and on a ship. We cut to the third story, which is The Bullet. And we jump ahead to World War II. This takes place in 1941 about a young man who gets drafted into being a pilot. And this one was more interesting because we always see predators fight on the ground, hand to hand or with weapons, and in this case, it's an air battle. He has to use a beat-up old ship to try and fight this predator in a predator ship. Basically, the entire squad is wiped out, but the young man's able to kill the predator. This has a little bit more information though. After World War II's over, he's back home in his garage, and he is abducted by a predator ship. Now we have our coalescence of these three stories. The soldier, Torres, wakes up on the ship along with the Viking and the samurai. All three were put in like cryo-sleep, I assume, by the predators. And they're taken to an arena, which we assume is on the predator homeworld, but it could be on a different world. And they meet what I think is the predator king. The king commands them to fight to the death. Their collars actually translated into their respective languages. A cool aspect is that Torres and the samurai can communicate a little because Torres knows a bit of Japanese because of being in the war, but Ursa the Viking cannot communicate with either of them. They try to convince the Viking, they do convince the Viking to join forces with them to escape rather than fight each other to the death, and the king sends this giant monster into the arena. Now the monster swallows the soldier, but the other two work together to kill the creature, and the soldier escapes while in the monster's stomach. He's able to get a hoverbike, and the three of them head towards the king's ship to try and escape. Two of them fight the king while Torres prepares the ship to try and fly them out of there, and they are able to get it started up. They all jump on the ship, but a harpoon hits the ship and escapes. A harpoon hits the ship and stops them from leaving. During all of this, the samurai's arm is also torn off. It's quite brutal, but he does survive. As they can't pull away from this harpoon, the Viking woman sacrifices herself by sliding down the cable and destroying the launcher, so the other two are able to fly away. After this, the king orders a hunt for the fugitives, and we see hundreds of ships get up and go to prepare to fight them, which is quite cool. The Viking woman is placed back into cryosleep, and we see other captives, and there's hundreds of them. One of them is a monster creature, and one of them is Naru, the woman from Prey, which is also quite interesting, which means that at the end of that movie, she must have been captured for this purpose, and we'll probably see her again later on in another installment. One minor detail which I think is kind of cool is when they're put in the arena, they're given their own traditional weapons to fight with, and the pilot, he's given an old flintlock pistol, which I think is the same one Naru got. It's a cool way to tie them together.
Perfection!
But there can only be one great movie, and it's Predator, the very first movie in the series. Everyone knows the story. This alien spaceship is sent to Earth with a predator on it. He's looking to hunt soldiers in that, and throughout it all we have these soldiers going into guerrilla warfare against this predator. Arnold Schwarzenegger is actually really good in this movie, and he wants to avenge his team after the predator kills it all. He figures out that it's unable to see him if he's covered in mud because it's infrared, and he uses this to fight the predator. He draws the predator out, uses traps and that to fight it, and the whole concept of this physically perfect soldier, now completely outclassed in physical strength by an alien that's even stronger, is always so interesting, and it works so well. The predator decides that Dutch, the main soldier, is a worthy opponent and fights him hand to hand. Dutch does lose, but he's able to trick the predator and crush it. The predator is mortally wounded and decides to self-destruct to kill Dutch. There's also an interesting part where he mimics Dutch's speech. I don't think we see that in any other movie, but it's really good. right at the end, he's extracted and traumatized by this, but this is what led to this franchise continuing to grow. I'm hoping when Predator Badlands comes out, it really lives up to some of the highs of this series. Pretty sure the same director from Prey and Killer of Killers is going to be doing that movie, so you never know. Could be really good. And that's it. The 8 Predator movies all ranked from worst to best. Bit disjointed, I know, but I really enjoyed the series, and after watching Killer of Killers, I really had to make the video on it, because that really impressed me. I hope you all enjoyed it. Let me know if you agree or disagree with my rankings, and yeah, leave a comment, like and subscribe, and I'll see you all in the next one.